And I'm doing whew, see, it turned on the heat. You don't need the heat on right now. Crazy. We're in December. We don't need the heat on. December and welcome. Welcome. It's going to be a very balmy plus what 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. It's going to be warm today. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me. It's a wackadoodle kind of weekend, that's for darn sure. And I am going to be going to high tea today at the dean's house. So I'm going to try. When I see Andre, I'm going to say we're going to film some of this. So I'm going to be taking my camera and we're and my little selfie stick, and we are going to film a little bit of the high tea today and just show it and stuff. So, and if you haven't been into the dean's house, it's quite nice in there, and the food is absolutely delicious. So um it's a very nice place. You usually have to make reservations. They do get brunch on Sunday. So and the brunch on Sundays is supposed to be absolutely fabulous, right? Missed the readings last night and tonight too. Where are you doing this morning? Yeah, I'm doing it this morning. So I did put up notices and stuff and said, but they get lost in the algorithm of the vastness of social media. And the one thing about social media is that you have to, in order for just to get one thing seen, you have to and it seems crazy. You have to repost it at least 5 to 6 times, if not more. Same on TikTok. That's why, with a lot of people who are on TikTok, they have so many postings, is that it's to get into the algorithm to be seen, and sometimes it has to be really bizarre. There's the one girl who does the sleepwalking ones. She's from Toronto, and she writes vampire books. She's got makeup that she sells. So she's done some really good marketing for herself, and same with her books, and through TikTok, and like she started doing really weird videos with her husband about poop, and some poop videos and farting and all kinds of craziness. Thank you, Dana. Some craziness, and she just sort of blew up on social media. And that's the thing. It's like sometimes you have to be really bizarre, but I'm not going to go around dressing like poop or talking about poop and farting. That's just not my thing. I kind of find that vulgar. So that's just me. I look stunning. Thank you. I try. Uh, today. Yeah, it's kind of a crazy day today, especially astrological. We're going to get to the readings and everything just in a moment, but um it's see, all the real heavy duty hitting kind of energies hitting us on the weekend. And this is where you might be feeling magical, and then it might be feeling like, oh my god, what the hell just happened, kind of thing. It's like oh, I'm gonna say it's like an acid trip. So for those who haven't had an acid trip, or those who have had an acid trip, it's like, either going in, being in it, or coming out of it. And sometimes it might not be a good one. So, and I don't promote you doing that this weekend, or doing a lot of drinking or anything like that as well. This is where people are going to be feeling a little bit off, and especially with that Neptunian energy. So where you might see it is on the streets when you're driving, where people aren't paying attention, right? So people may not be paying attention to driving. They're kind of all over the place, or you're kind of feeling fuzzy and very hard to focus. So this is very much a grounding day, very much a, you know, wanting to make sure that you are, you know, feeling stable, I guess the word is. And even with Venus, and with Venus in Scorpio, I mean, if you're not used to having a Venus in Scorpio, it can really get you to be passe and not keep your, I guess, your values. You can sort of like, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter anyways, kind of thing. And so that could get you where you're in trouble, or just making feeling your self-worth, that not feeling that worthy. So this is really a shadow work weekend and doing a lot of reflection work on oneself. There's also where if somebody doesn't do something right for you and you go off and you be a little asshole to them, this is like, hey, really watch it. Like, either you're being the asshole or the other person's being the asshole, but it's not for you to point it out and say be an asshole, but just be aware of that, because there is a deeper connection, especially with that moon coming into Aquarius. It's showing us, it's like almost like a preview to a movie that's going to happen with Pluto and Aquarius, of what are the deeper connections that you are wanting to have in your life, and where do you want to have those deeper connections, not only with yourself but with the people around you. And with that moon, it's very internal. So there's this internal energy that's coming in. So when Pluto is in Capricorn over the next, several years, those people who are fixed signs, um uh Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, I think that those four, particularly if you, and even if you have a lot of planets in those signs, and even if you don't have anything in those signs, it's really good to look at where it is on your chart, because that's going to give you an idea of the work that you are going to be having to process over the next several years, and what that may look like for you. So, when I'm doing my 2024 personal readings for people, and these are when we meet one on one, um online, because I do all my readings online. When we meet and we go through it, it just gives you that sort of insight of what it is that you are looking at to work at for the next, couple years. Like mine, um my Scorpio's in the fifth house, which is ruled by Leo, which is the sun. So it's like this learning more about my inner child, my coming in and being more playful, coming from the heart, allowing myself to let the shields down and to be the Leo, and to be the person who comes out and stands out. And it's a challenge, having that challenge with that of where Pluto's going to be and squaring off everything into my, so it's a square. So it's a, it's like working through this. If it's an opposition, like, the opposite, where it's the Leo sign, it's like, okay, what do I need to, how am I able to really do and connect on a personal level with people? How am I able to step out of my boundaries and allow myself to expand more fully and be the more direct, and be, especially with air sign, being able to speak and be able to understand the knowledge that I do have. Where Taurus, it's coming into like, am I really being the stable person I should be within my values? And what are those values? What is that stability? And how does that affect my health? How does it affect my relationships? So over the next, the moon is like raising this all up. Like that's what the moon is doing. It's raising and getting us to really look at these parts of ourselves. And as we are looking, it's coming in with a deeper connection. Thank you very much, Charlene. Coming in with a really deeper connection. So there's these portals. It feels like a portal is opening, especially with a, you'll be hearing a lot of astrology. Oh, there's a portal opening with Neptune. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to just walk through a portal with Neptune and the sun, you know. I mean, especially with Neptune, it's like you really have to have a grounding, because with Saturn being in Pisces, it is breaking all of the spiritual ideologies and concepts that you think were true. And so you really have to come in, and this is like especially as 2024 is approaching, the square is really getting us, to coming through for the next 3 weeks, the wildest ride. It's going to be a crazy spiritual ride that we are going to be coming in, and where it's a positive, but we have to watch where we're going to be downgrading. Are you downgrading anything in your life? Are you downgrading your desires, your habits, your self-worth? It's not about, this isn't downgrading. We are up leveling on a spiritual sense where we are coming more from the heart center and coming to the heart center of our desires, of our wants, our needs, our connection and our truth. And we have this beautiful trine, which is going to be there for a little bit, is that Mercury trining over to Jupiter. Both of them are retrograde. Both of them are basically going to go forward around the same time within about a 24-hour period. But this is really looking at the, our own identification, our structure, how we are wanting to create those structures within our life, and massive spiritual work is on the way. So this massive spiritual work is like facing things that we need to face, and also connection with groups, not being afraid to connect with other people. Now, those of the water signs, that's and Pisces is like, yeah, it's like it's easy to go off on an acid trip when you're a Pisces, like going out of body kind of experience. It's very easy to have an out of body experience because then I don't really have to deal with this realm. Because dealing with this world is difficult. That means I have to be grounded. I have to be here. I have to be aware, and I have to be self-aware. And being self-aware, that means I have to come forward and present myself in a way that is harmonious, which could be difficult if you don't have the self-worth of yourself. When you don't have the awareness. So this is where this biggest spiritual work, this massive spiritual work, is facing things and coming out to help others and being able to accept the help from others. That's the next thing. Because a lot of times, I don't need any help. Or, when people ask me, it's like, what can I do to help you? And it stumps me because I have no idea, because I'm so used to doing everything on my own. I'm so used to, especially when it comes to my business, I'm so used to like, I have no idea. So it's like, okay, let's take some inventory. What do you need help? Do you need some help with your social media? Do you need help in writing? Do you need, what is it that you want to do? So this is where it's like looking at your self-understanding, self-reflection, and the selfless service that you are wanting to create. And the wounds. The thing is that you got to watch the wounds. And that's where that, oh, I wish it was this way, or you should have done it this way. So those wounds coming up, especially with that quincunx to Chiron. So watching how our wounds are appearing in our life of wanting to have it, I want it to be this way. I want it to have a dinner, like you're expecting so much for Christmas dinner, and it didn't turn out the way that you wanted. It turned out totally different. It turned out in a different way. So watch that, because especially because if this is over the next 3 weeks, it's going to hit you at Christmas time, and then we still have the solstice that we're going to be going through, and we still have the full moon, which is the day after Christmas. And know that the moon is always building up. Always building up. So a couple days before it actually apexes. So this is like, you might be feeling like you're in Clown Town. Feeling like you're in Clown Town. So, so this is for Dana. So watch where you're blocking your self-worth. This is almost like taking it on an adventure. Taking this on an adventure, and what that adventure feels like, looks like, what is that adventure? So Hmm. Something's coming in, um, as I'm thinking, as I'm shuffling this for Dana, and it has to do this might sound weird, but it has to do with bedtime routine and what your bed like, having I know, a bedtime routine is very important. Having um a routine, some kind of routine. So this is where it's showing me that, if you don't have one, is to start looking into some sort of routine. You're needing some kind of routine in your life. Um, like scheduling that, scheduling that routine. So and then I got, like, when you have a baby, you do, the baby training, right? So the baby training is when you're training your child to go to bed at a certain time, or, nap at a certain time, so that you have some kind of schedule within your home life. Um, which is important. It's important to have some kind of schedule. So I feel like for Dana, it's like having some kind of schedule is making sure that you have some sort of routine for yourself on being going to bed earlier just because you're tired, right? So this is where it's like I just get like this has got to something has to continue there on having a routine. If you're not having a routine, it's like it's really your um the rhythm, what is it called? The rhythm, anyways, the sleep rhythm or the rhythm of you will get thrown out because we all have a rhythm, an Akkadian rhythm, I think it's called. So it's getting into a rhythm of a routine and making sure that you're coming into some kind of rhythm. And that's going to be very important for you, especially as we go on and we go into 2024. I know for myself, I for me, well, I'm up early in the morning because I have to take Mateus to school, and he starts school at 8. So being up early and stuff like that, so I have to have a rhythm. I can't go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning to get up at 5. I'm gonna be exhausted. For my body and my rhythm, I have to have 8 hours sleep. I am not a 4-hour sleep person, and having to go to bed for 4 hours, right? I can't survive on that. I know people who can, and who and but the and then this is where the big challenge is because of the solar flare. Then the solar flare activity that's coming in is really gonna throw people off of their rhythm and what that rhythm is. And this is where it's like watching how your rhythm is. And with the solar flares, people are going to be finding that they can't sleep. Didn't sleep last night. Yeah. Are going to find that they can't sleep, or they're going to have really crazy dreams. Um, I had some really bizarre dreams. Um, it just, yeah, some really bizarre dreams. And it's funny. Anyways, it was funny because, okay, I got to tell you about my one. I had really bizarre dream. There was popcorn, and then I took boiling water. I don't know why. I Something said in my dream, "Oh, you gotta soak the popcorn for whatever we're doing." I don't know. I was doing some arts and crafts. I have no idea. But I poured the boiling water onto the popcorn, and some of it looked like it was burnt, but not all everything was pop and then it started popping. So the boiling water made activated yeah, it must have been really hot to make the popcorn start to pop. So I had all this popcorn starting to pop all over, and, my popcorn was just multiplying all over the place, and I was trying to find a lid. But that's, this is like, these are the weird dreams, that you may be having, not necessarily the exact dream I was having, but but the weirdness of it all. And having to be aware of it and not, I guess, dismiss it and dismiss a lot of things. And the other part too, I feel like like there's so much coming in for you, Dana, especially spiritually. like really spiritually coming in for you. And I don't know if you're afraid of your spiritual self or afraid of that intuitive part of you, but there's this newness that's coming in, and it's almost it's like almost like being afraid to accept it, because if I accept this new spiritual way or new spiritual ideas, am I going to offend somebody? Kind of like, who am I going to offend? Like, it's like I want to, the I guess the old Catholic guilt or something, but even it's like, I'm not going to use the rosary, I'm going to use mala beads. I'm going to take up the mala beads. I'm going to pray with the mala beads. And it's like, oh, I can't pray with the mala beads. I got to pray with the rosary kind of thing. This is where it's stepping into like a new, like this new spiritual journey where things that may have made you feel uncomfortable, you have to get into that uncomfortableness in order to find more of your desires, more of the direction of where you want to go. And that is going to be very important over this next year. It's stepping in to say, oh, well, let me go to a kundalini thing or a mantra practice or something that you don't usually do. And it's like this push is coming in, and that allows for more growth and more insight to come in for yourself, and bringing in a lot more courage and strength to change the different things that you want to change and bring in the different routines that you want to bring in. So there is a beautiful spiritual side that's coming in, and I just get like it's one that's going to make you uncomfortable because it's not the same. It's not the same old. It's going to really bring in a different way of doing things, a different way of looking at the world around. So it's stepping out. And that's part of the fifth dimension energy that's coming in, because it's very heart-centered energy. And even with everything that's coming in is like, bringing things in with ease and grace, because it feels clunky and slippery and it's not smooth. It's not the usual feeling that you get with it. So it's bringing in a newness. So I get the five of wands, and the five of wands is conflict. So that conflict of the passion of what it is that you are wanting to do and where you are wanting to go, and changing up the routine, and it's like the internal conflict is like, well, I don't usually do it this way, I want to do it differently. And it's coming in and showing you that there's a new way of doing things, and it's not going to be the normal way. And this is where it's kind of a struggle, is where you're in your life, and that whether you feel you must stick up for yourself because of the surroundings. This is where these obstacles, it's like obstacles are put there so that you can work with them to grow, to advance. It's not obstacles to stop you, it's obstacles that are coming in to sort of get you to shift your energy in the situations, because it's looking at where you are wanting to honor your heart and the priorities that are coming forth. So priorities are going to be coming more clear. This is a card not about so much teamwork, but of personal goals and ambitions. So it's looking at like, what are my goals? What are my ambitions? What are my and that's the other part too. It's like, well, I don't like to think about myself. I don't like to put myself forward. I don't, I'm it's like, oh, I want to make sure they're fine. I want to make sure they're fine, and they're fine, and it's like,
unknown caller.
There we go. Phone call every time at this time. So this is where the situation is going to come to a boiling point with you, and something's got to give. So something's going to give. Yeah, I know I froze. I got a phone call. I should be back. I shouldn't be frozen anymore. So as some point or other, these will make themselves known through through your behavior or stress levels. So they will come up because there's a conflict, and and it's going to be feeling very stressful. It's going to be feeling very overwhelming. And this is where it's like, okay, let me go to a drumming circle. What is a drumming circle? I've never been to a drumming circle. And it feels weird and it feels awkward because you've never been, but you just feel a call for the beat. You feel the call for just bringing that newness into your life. It could be wanting to try a new yoga exercise, whatever. And it's like it's something that you don't normally do, and that's what's coming in for you. So it's a huge, sorry, I got to grab this because my computer's going to die. It's a huge shift coming forward for you. That's a spiritual one. So there's a big spiritual shift that's coming in, and whew, it's it is going to be where you have to look like how you're going to focus your mind in order to shift the situations. So looking at how am I going to do this? How am I going to um shift? What is it that I need to do? And sometimes in Kundalini yoga, what we do is that we shake. We do shaking. And people, when we start shaking and doing things like that, people are like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Or you jump and you do these little jumps like a froggy, and it feels awkward and it feels odd, but it's getting your body to move in a different way that it doesn't usually move. And that's part of it too, getting your body to move in a new way. But that brings in conflict because your body doesn't want to move that way. It doesn't want to do that way. I don't like when all my squishies and wishies move. I want my squishies and wishies just to stay where they are. And so if I have to make my squishies and wishies move in a different way, it's going to move in a new way, and that's going to break off. Shaking is a huge thing in Kundalini because we shake things off. We're breaking things off. We're just like, and you just sort of you shake. And I've done that in a whole group one time when I did a full moon meditation when I had it in my home, and everybody after that, I mean, they felt great, they felt wonderful, and a few of them told me after a few days that they started to see whatever obstructions that they're having were starting to break away. And that's the key. It's like once they start breaking away, sometimes we're going to grab onto them, right? And say something on shaking. Good for the body. It is. It gets things moving. It's a vibrant. But that's where I feel it's like this push, and it's almost like pushing you out of the cave and into the light to go into a new direction for yourself. And it's a spiritual one. So it's one of self-discovery and doing shadow work. The shadow work. Doesn't matter how old you are, we still have shadow work to do. You know, you think by the time you get to my age, you think the shadow work's all done, but it's not. It's like you even find more because you're becoming more honest with who you are. My husband made me coffee and it's really good. So there you go, Dana. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Charlene, you got an event today, which is very cool. So that's awesome. That is very awesome. Those are the things like, the event that you're hosting today, when it comes to your business, that's really what's going to make your business grow, is doing a lot of different events within your within your store, whether it's because you have the space there, right? You have 6 people there, so that's awesome. So and doing a coordinated event with others is going to be um it's going to help the business grow. So whether that is doing more craft nights, whether that is a meditation evening, having doing more things, and I feel like it's going to be after hours. So that's again, that's going to change up your routine and changing up how you do things. So where it's like you want to close the store at 6, but you're going to be closing the store at 9 because you have a meditation evening, or you have a group function that's happening there, where it's you have somebody coming in to do an intuitive evening and things like that. Yeah, this is for sure. So how did the lockout P-Sega end? Oh, she got in. She got back in. And she didn't pee herself, so that was good. So this is where it's important to really start to look at the things that incorporating into your business in order for it to grow and have it grow. That's going to be um, part of it. And the thing is, it's the other part too is that again, that's going to come in with your marketing. That's going to come in with this whole learning part. And with Mercury retrograde over the next 3 weeks is really going to be um, a time of taking some time for self learning on how to market, what to market. This is a self learning on doing different things, right? And planning it. When do you want to start doing it? January. So start, maybe a January meditation evening, starting to do different just brainstorm, come up with 100 different things that you want to do within your business. It's like the sheet that I handed out, the workbook that you guys all got for doing the vision board. Well, there's a in there, it asks you 100, what are the 100 different things that you want to do? Look at the 100 different things that you want to do for your business. What do they look like? And you can put down anything. It could be apple bobbing. I don't care. But it's putting that down, it's clearing your mind to do it, right? And that's part of it. And that's the other part too, is that it's going to change here, both of you guys, it's going to change everything and how things are run in your home. That is going to be a huge one. It's going to change how things are run in your home and how things go in your home. And that is something where it's going to be it's going to be positive, but it could also be frustrating. So this is where how things might change is that you're spending, time down at the store because you got people coming in. Well, you're not going to be home. You can't be home making dinner and things like that. So it's things are going to be getting disrupted. Things are going to get disrupted. And that could be very frustrating for you. Now, and this is where, when you got Pluto coming in to your sign for the next 20 years, he's going to be there from January till September. So you're going to get an idea of what it's going to be like to have Pluto opposite you. That Pluto opposite you is really a challenge because it's an opposition of what it is that you need to start looking at, and community connections, the outwardness, right? And that's what Aquarius is. It's that outward connection. It's the community, it's the humanity, it's bringing that all in and around you. So that's going to be I guess a challenge for you as you go forward. And it's the Hangman that came out for you. So the Hangman's coming out. The Hangman is observation, taking a new look at things, looking at things in a way that you never thought you would look at. The Hangman can be a difficult card. It is not an easy card. It is a card that really it gets you to review. It takes deep breath. It is plans. That's what it is. It is where if you are feeling stuck, right? Don't make a hasty decision. So, why a challenge though? Because you're doing things differently. You're not doing it the way that you want to do it or what you think it should be. This is where the challenge is. It's always if it comes easy peasy, if it's just, "Oh yeah, everything's fine," it falls away. There's no substance to it. There's no substance. It's bringing in something that will have substance to it. And this is also where it comes into a life altering moments and a potential to transform your worldview, focus, and a deeper priorities. This is, when the hangman comes in, it's a major arcana. It is one that really, what are my opinions at this time? How am I honoring them? What is my true passion? Am I honoring that true passion? Right? And how can I take a moment to pause, like taking those moments to pause in my thoughts before I make the next move. And that's, when it comes to Aquarius and the energies of that, because it's opposite you, it is it can be a challenge. So looking at that as a challenge, having those challenges um around. So this is where it is coming into the unconscious. This is where it is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is god of the skies, right? He's the ruler of the skies. And this is where it's like wanting to look into the transformation and the healing. This is about allowing yourself, and with Pluto, there is a death and resurrection that comes in with that, and the changes of the death and the resurrection around you. This is where you need Aquarius is where what it comes into where you need change, right? So the change comes forward, and as this change comes forward, because it's connects you to the future. Uranus is the future line. It's how life will unfold. This is where learning how to use AI, learning how to, connect with more of a futuristic realms. And that's where the challenge could be, right? So it's an air sign, you're a fire sign. And it's a more flexible and want to go with the way the wind blows, right? And being a fixed sign, Aquarius is not just to be blown around, but actually be able to come into a focus, come into a place of that focus, and being able with Uranus bring in the change and learn from the change and open up through opportunities through the change. So it's like this hangman comes in, and he's ruled by Neptune. So there's this Neptunian spiritual energy that comes in, but it's that of acceptance, of patience, of surrender, and sacrifice when it comes to it. And so that's why, when you get the hangman and it's like, oh, it's just a hangman. No, the hangman brings in a lot for us to start to really look at more deeply within ourselves. And then, with that Neptunian energy, he's there for the next several years, right? Next couple years. And Saturn being there is breaking up the gravitational pull that we have, breaking up how we are doing the things that we do. So that's why, when it comes to looking at the things that you are wanting to do, write it down. 100 things. What are the 100 things that I want to start doing, not only with my business, but within my personal life? And how can they come together? Or where's the conflict in that? Right? Where's the conflict in that? And that, that is where also when you I don't know how deep you want me to go. Um, when it comes to relationships or comes in with relationships, the conflict is like not necessarily where it's almost where the other person could actually feel jealous because of something else that overtook their attention. And that's the other part of the observation. So this might, that's where the altering and bringing in life altering. And this is where it's like recollaborating your beliefs and situations and goals. So it's like, where the one person was always, or the whatever the relationship of it's like having a child. When a child comes in, your attention goes to that child, and your significant other sometimes doesn't, they don't want to feel that way, but they kind of feel jealous. They're not getting the attention they used to get. They're not being that center that they used to be. So because something has taken that attention away. And that's something that, when it comes to the perspective, this is a crossroads, this is an acceptance, this is being patient. This is looking at things, if a sense of that you are standing at a crossroads that's going to take time to fully absorb the directions and options that you want to, how they are incorporated with your personal life. And where that's that's what could be very frustrating, and bring in that frustration for you, right? And that's where the hangman comes in, because he's really getting you to, there is more than one solution being offered. There's more being offered there. So it's that flexibility of how you want, how things are created within your life, and accepting those new ways of doing it. So that's why, and it's I love you, Shar, because it's like, well, I just want it easy peasy. I just want to do it like this. And it's like, okay, but that's not what spirit wants. That's not where spirit is taking you. That's not, and especially with Pluto across, I mean, I'm gonna have Pluto square my sign. So I always have everything square me. But having it as an opposition, he will challenge you. He will challenge you at every single place in your life. So having Pluto in Aquarius is a um is very, I'm going to say it's going to be challenging for the world, let alone, the fixed signs, right? So there is that challenge that will come forth um over the next 20 years with that. So it's a transition. And it's a transition of the collective unconscious. It's a transition of there's so many crazy historical events that are aligned with it. It is the push of the taboos and the power struggles. So it is about transformation, and it's about water bearer. Um, a lot of times Leos don't mind Aquariuses. I mean, but Aquariuses are like, they're um they're the sign that they don't care that you're the center of the universe. They really don't. They don't care that you're the sun. They're the ones that like, yeah, well, that's nice, but I'm doing it over here. Um, they are bringing in a transformation that is vastness, globalization. They are the ones that changing institutions, changing the way that we communicate, changing um the different platforms when it comes to our social media, right? When Pluto went into Sagittarius, let's just go by that. When Pluto entered Sagittarius, that is when the earthquake of Fukushima happened, which occurred at the same time that Uranus transited into Aries. So now we're having when Pluto goes um into Aquarius and it'll be there for someone. It's going to be a transformation of how we all connect as a community and as an earthly community. And for you, I feel like that is going to be where, okay, how can I bring in that connection within what I do? And it's thinking outside of the box. It's bringing in, different ideas of workshops and some of them might feel uncomfortable, some of them may not feel in alignment, or you might not feel like, oh well, I don't want to do it that way. But this is for bringing in a collective of humanity and a discovery, and it's an explosion. There's an explosion. I mean, with Pluto coming in, it's an explosion of the unconscious. So it's where seeing things in a new way, it's feeling things in a new way and bringing in new and creative ideas with what you're doing, and that's part of the perspective of this all. So, and Pluto, and then it's opposite you, so it's like I wanted to do, and it's Plutonian too, so it's very explosive energy that comes in, and the sun doesn't like to be the sun does not like to be controlled. The sun is like, here I am. This is what the sun is. Here I am. I'm doing it this way. Here I am. And the sun is loud and it's bright and it's beautiful, right? And it has its childlike form, right? It's the teenager of when you look at the astrology and you go to the Aquarius, well, the Aquarius has been around a lot longer. And it has the ruler of the sky, of the universe. So you're the sun, and the universe revolves around you, or our solar system evolves around you. Uranus or goes like, well, I'm vaster than that. So feeling the power and the powerlessness of this new energy that's going to come in is going to be allowing for you to expand in different ways, and drawing that in with the Aquarian energy, which is also harmony and love, and how that shows up and how that feels for you. So it's quite a huge transformation and change that's going to happen over 2024. And yeah, I think I told you that the way you think it's going to be is not going to be the way it is. The way you think your business is going to go is not the way your business is going to go. It's going to go in a totally different direction. And it's going to feel frustrating because you have an idea of, no, I wanted it to go this way, or I wanted to have this, and I wanted to do this. And it's like, I just got like, your guides are just like, okay, we're just letting her do that. Okay, all right. Now, when January hits and February hits, it's like new ideas, new concepts, new ways of doing things, new connections, new people, which is going to be absolutely fabulous. It's going to be great. It's great. I would say you should have a drum circle come in, a drumming circle. You should get in contact with some of the local natives in your area, and get some of the elders to come in and ask if they would like to do some kind of ceremony, or do a workshop on natural herbs in your area. So get in contact with the local res and find out if any of the elders would like to do a workshop in your shop, and ask them to come in. I mean, that's stepping out of, kind of stepping out of your boundary, stepping out of your comfort zone. That would be actually really cool. You know? So there's a lot, those types of ideas. So you write it down. Loads and loads and loads. And it's she's in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. So that's just, and that's part of building that community in a different way. So, yeah, I mean, what I'm going to be, we could do a road trip, Dana. We'll do a road trip and go out and see her. we'll just put it on cruise so we don't get a ticket because it's quite straight after you get after Medicine Hat. Just straight. You hang a left at Medicine Hat and just keep going straight. But yeah, there is, I mean, as we are my the more I start looking into the peak of 2024, there is just like wow, some of the history and everything that comes in, right? So, thank you, Charlene. But I am quite excited for you. I'm very excited for you and the transformation and changes that are coming in for you. It's going to be totally awesome. Totally awesome. And I think, on that, even for all of us as we go forward, um, on this new timelines that are coming in, it's going to there's going to be a lot that we are going to be exploring over the next several years. By the time Pluto leaves Aquarius, I'm going to be 80. So I'm just thinking of like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's a connection. You got to think of when Pluto was last in Aquarius, which is 248 years ago. Um, there was the French Revolution. And so we had the French Revolution. So there's a lot of things to do with transformation and change, the balancing of power. Um, there is where these parts are like how you think the government is being run. The change is coming in for a newness. This is where the American Revolution it came in. Is that's why the French backed the United States, because they're fighting the Brits. And France got rid of their royalty, right? Well, they cut their heads off. And then came Napoleon. So this is where, these changes are coming in, where I'm not going to say we're going to cut people's heads off, just not, but where change and transformation when it comes into communities and corporations and understanding of all of that, with a backdrop of where Uranus is, right? Uranus being near the end of Taurus, we're going to have Uranus Jupiter conjunction, and then Jupiter is going into Gemini, and Uranus is coming up to the midpoint of 1941. And so, and that's Uranus, and then Plutonian. It's just, there's going to be a lot of explosions, but we can look at the explosions being where they come into a place of spiritual transformation. Those transformations spiritually, not necessarily the explosions that happen upon this earth. So it's a revolution of change, a revolution of ideas. This is, where if you think about a lot of the revolutions that happened back 248 years ago, 300 years ago, they happened in the pubs. They happened where where poets met and bards met to sing their tales and sing new ideas and bring these new ideas around to people. Well, now those bards and those poets are on social media. They're on TikTok, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on all different types of forms of social media, bringing in new ideas. And sometimes the new ideas and formations are like, whoa, that's not what I wanted. That's not how I thought about it, and Aquarius is the scientific brain. It is the ruler. Aquariuses are the ruler of the astrology. So it's bringing in a globalization, a connection that is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch it unfold. There's going to be, and the intensity of the solar flares that have the one hitting this weekend it's quite intense. I can feel it. I feel it in my legs and in my knees, where they feel jittery, and I can feel that in my legs and my knees and the jitteriness that is there. So there's that. So really pay attention on where you're feeling it. Headaches, watch out for headaches. So be aware of any headaches and nervous disorders. Take potassium if you can, bananas and things like that. Potassium is really good and helping with the nervous system and stuff. You have a question. You always have a question, Charlene. So it is going to be it's I'm excited for 2024. You know, I'm excited about a lot of the changes that are going to be happening. I don't think it's something to fear. I think this is about preparation, definitely. Like things, make sure you have candles and a transistor radio, make sure you have a propane stove. I mean, those things aren't bad to have, you know. Um this weekend's very explosive, and especially with those solar flares. I mean, we already had the transistors go in Brooklyn, so that was quite interesting. Um Zelensky was taken out of Ukraine. Zelensky's in Germany right now because Russia found his bunker and they were bombing it. So this is also where in Ukraine right now they have pregnant women fighting. They pulled out women to fight. Well, I don't know how you would go back a couple days to your job because and run a business the way that you wanna run it. So it's either all or nothing. Either you go back to the muggle job, which is fine, or you close the shop, which is fine. So it's up to you, and then go back to just doing markets on weekends. So, those are it's either one way or the other way. That's yeah. But definitely, and a lot of people don't know that, with the bombing, or they don't know, when it comes to, Ukraine, right? And the other thing too is that, Congress has not taken a break yet. They're passing a 63 or 60 some billion-dollar, package this weekend, and that package is for Ukraine. So, the Russia-Ukraine war, I mean, Putin's not going anywhere, and he's not gonna stop it, which is however you wanna look at it, right? The Ukraine, I mean, right now, Zelensky was, basically telling the Americans need to suffer for him, and that's what he was saying. And we have a prime minister that is so passionate for, um, this Ukrainian war with Russia. But then again, here people have to know their history, and look what our prime minister brought into our parliament and who he brought into our parliament from Ukraine. So this is, and because I can't say the word on social media, but this is, when Pluto goes in, it's like, okay, this is when people get riled up. This is where people like, yeah, right, I want this change. And it's like even the guy from Argentina just fell right in line after his crazy stunts, and that's what people have to watch. You got to watch these guys that are coming out being radical and crazy and like saying these things. Like, are you really? You're just wanting to get in there for money, for money. It's where, like, when the American Revolution started, it started with a clerk, you know, who knew George and knew all these guys, knew John Hancock, knew all these guys, and started saying, "You know what about this? What about that?" And promoting these changes. That's why, when you look at the French Revolution, just didn't happen with the storming of the Bastille. It happened way before. There were things that were set up for it. I mean, for the storming, there were different positions that were in place in order for it to, and it wasn't just the next day that they went in and got Marie Antoinette and Louis. and the family, it took another couple years for it to unfold, right? So this is again, you had royals that were somewhat out of touch with their people. Well, we have politicians that are out of touch with the people. And it is going to get to a point where people are frustrated, they're overwhelmed, they just can't take it anymore. I can't go into the grocery store and spend $100 and come out with 7 bags of groceries. I come out with maybe a half a bag, right? Those are the things, and it's like it puts a strain on other things within society, the food banks, the social programs that are out there. They won't be able to sustain the amount, and that's where revolution comes. That's where change comes, because when you push the people to a point, doesn't matter, you push them to a point and I remember years ago, and we were doing a debate, and this was during youth group. And I had a dear friend at that time. He's still a friend, but he thinks I'm wackadoodle. um and he was very much he was an NDPer, and I was never an NDPer. I was never a socialist, liberal, conservative, always, where I believed, but I don't believe that if I have a car, I have to give you my fucking car. If I have a car, it's my car. If I have a house, it's my house. You know, I paid for it. I earned it. This is mine. Why should I have to share it, right? And he was very much, well, you should have to share it. I'd love to hear what his concepts are now that he has 4 kids in his own house and his own cars. You know, definitely I believe in helping people, making sure that others do have, but not at the sacrifice to a point where other people are suffering. It's like, when you're in an airplane, make sure you put the mask on first before you put the mask on somebody else, instead of putting the mask on everybody else. And then, but that's, where it got into the thing of war, where you will defend yourself. And in human nature, and this was the fight, this was the debate, is that if something is happening, they're out there, and this is where people don't even have a concept of how horrible humans are, that how far will you be to defend your family and your welfare? That's the tipping point. That's the tipping point. And 2024 is going to show you the tipping point of how far you are willing to sacrifice. We already saw it. How many people were willing to sacrifice their health for the sake of others, right? And the government saw that, and they're like, "Ooh, this is good." Now, let's see how far how can we tip that a little bit more, because people woke up from that and said, "Oh, that was fucking stupid." But how much more can they push? And that's going to be the tipping point, and that is Pluto in Aquarius. The tipping point with Uranus, because Uranus wasn't in where it is now 248 years ago, with Jupiter going into Gemini, and Jupiter does not like Gemini. It's at its detriment, because it wants to be in Sagittarius, because that's its home. So if a planet is your ruler and it's in the opposite, it's in its detriment. It's in its fall position. It doesn't want to be there. It's not comfortable. Even though it's going to be expansive and there's going to be learning and stuff like that, Jupiter's like, man, I already know this shit. Why am I doing this shit? This is just so much work. So it speeds Gemini up, right? So if you know any Geminis or air signs, I mean, we're speeding you up. We're speeding you up. And food prices are insane. You know, gas prices are down right now. I saw it for $1.15 here in Calgary, and I filled up the other day at $1.15 at an Esso. I think it's up to $1.17, $1.19 at the Tuscany Co-op or Costco. It's $1.10 or something, $1.39 there. Woo, you guys are still expensive. Why are you so expensive? It's like that's what I don't get. It's like Saskatchewan has oil and gas, but here it's like but when you see prices go down like that, especially when it comes to oil, and then they're also having um talks right now in the Middle East and stuff in Dubai. Some jets in that didn't get to Dubai. Oh shucks, there was a snowstorm. Um oh, and they have yeah, they do have a PST too. Yeah. So, so the gas prices sort of went down, but you're going to see everything rising. Gold just went up again too. So, when gold starts rising up high like that, you know that the fiat dollar is dropping. So the fiat dollar, I mean, the American dollar is not going anywhere. It's just the value of it will eventually drop down. But that's why they want to keep the wars going, because if they keep the wars going, that helps the fiat dollar to go. And when it comes to things like oil and gas, it's not just going anywhere. They can't eliminate it as much as they want to eliminate cars and everything else. They want to make London where there's no cars, that you won't be able to take any vehicles into London. If you do, you'd have to pay a fine or a fee. And right now, in London, you have to pay a uh, like a tax or something if you drive in certain areas, and you get taxed, or you have to pay a fee for driving. And they're wanting to do that in other areas like Toronto. Vancouver would be bloody interesting to do that. Same with Toronto, with all the areas, but making it where there are no vehicles. So it's this buildup, this change and everything that's coming in, but it's a tipping point, right? There's that tipping point where you push people to a point on how far will it take before you stand up for who you are and stand up for your own self. So that movie, it's funny because that movie that just came out last week on Netflix, and then the thing happened in Brooklyn. I just thought, that's weird, you know? So, and then the next movie that's coming out next year in 2024. But I'm looking forward to the Harry Potter movie. Just saying. I'm very happy with the Harry Potter movie coming out. So, there's a which one? The one on Netflix that's out? There's a movie out on Netflix right now with Julia Roberts. And it's interesting to watch because there's so many things that happen right down to the date, like when he wakes up and his mug and everything else, and the time that he wakes up, it correlates to a date. If you watch in their house, the the painting behind them, it starts off with one, two, three, four white streaks on it, and then throughout the movie, it starts to mesh. Right, the ship that the little girl saw coming onto shore, the name of that ship was the very first ship that came to the United States with slaves. And if the people that the house that they're staying at, they rented for the summer, in New York. Of course, it's in New York. The downstairs basement kind of looks like a ship, the bows of a ship. And so sort of like a slave ship, and a lot of things that are put up there. And then you eventually see them coming together. Oh yeah, there's tons of hidden messages in that movie. Tons. And by the time they come up, you you sort of start seeing them come together, and then the little girl finds the bunker with friends. Weird that she loved Friends, and it's weird that she was such a little techie, that she was one of the most observant ones, and then, of course, then the mom. And then you saw the boy starting to lose his teeth and stuff. What well, is because she started to hear the pitching and the high pitch noise. So, and that's all part of control, and it also has to do with different things of finding out of the elixir and things like that. Was that a trigger to some of the noises that they started to hear, and the high pitched noises that they started to hear? Because not everybody was able to hear it at first. So, and how that correlated with, and looking at his shirt too. The shirt had a lot to do. Like at the beginning of the scene, I think he was on the beach, and the logo on there was the same one for the new. Um, I know this. It's a video game that just came out. Six and stuff like that. My eldest used to be into that game so much. Um, and the logo and stuff for it is on there too. So there's something about that game and that movie and the correlation with it as well. A lot of hidden meanings within that too. So it's quite weird. And then you have the Civil War one that's coming up with Obama or something. I think Obama helped to produce it in that. So there's the Civil War one that's coming out in 2024. I know quite a few people have already seen it, and it says it just makes the hair on the back of their necks stand up, because they're being from the States, they are seeing so much that is in that movie unraveling now. Yeah, that one's coming out in 2024. Civil War one's coming out in 2024. The one, for the one in Netflix is kinda like a the one in Netflix is kinda like, almost getting people to softening them up. Oh god, there's a new chicken movie out. What's it called? It's called Leave the World Behind. Leave the World Behind. And that movie, Leave the World Behind, um, a lot of what's in it. Oh, Chicken Run 3, yeah. So, let me see if I can just and her husband's supposed to be quite a dud in this. So, I'm just gonna get the name of the ship, because that's really crazy with that ship coming, because it has to do with a lot of, um yeah, Ethan Hawke, her husband, is like he's a real dud in this one. Hold on. And she's very much, "Oh, I need my Starbucks." Okay, I'm gonna turn this around. See the name? White Lion? So the name of that boat, White Lion, is the same name as the ship that brought slaves over for the first time to the United States in the early 1600s, or in the middle of 1647 or something like that. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. So there's with that movie, and also the painting. Oh, here, maybe. I know she's got a real dumbass face. I don't like her face either. So, but it usually, when things happen in New York, a lot of things were avoided in New York too. Anyways, let's get into something else. So, he has a 1776. He gets up at 6:30. There's a 6. So 6:36, 1776. So there's a lot of little things like that that are in that movie that play out on, what was 1776, 1776, it was the revolution change. What, this whole movie comes out to be is a revolutionary change. So, yeah. So it's a very interesting movie. Um, and just looking at the different things, a lot of times people don't notice these things. It's like if you've ever, excuse me, before we leave, if you've ever watched the original Scrooge, the black and white version, and when you watch that, there is, when he wakes up, after all of the ghosts took him, and he's looking in the mirror, and as he's looking in the mirror, there is a stage hand sitting there, and you can see the curtains. They didn't block that out in the movie. So I love to see, find these crazy little things in movies. And this one, we're just like, right there, right in your face kind of thing. So found it very interesting. So, anyways, there you guys go. Have a fabulous day. Thank you, Dana, and thank you, Charlene, for getting a reading and just being a part of my community. I really love it. Thank you all for joining me and being a part of my community. Thank you for watching the replay. And I'm going to send out so much love. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all that you say and all that you be and all you do. Stand up, be beautiful, be the vibrant person that the God and the Goddess sent you to be. Have a blessed one, everybody. And we will talk to you probably tomorrow. We'll see how the day goes, see how it unfolds. So, blessed be everyone.